next match I'm like ridiculously excited for. It's between a Norwegian Zerg player by the name of Targa, who was not even that known to me before the tournament until he killed Ace, a former champion, in the first round, and then destroyed Oz in the second round, eliminating 2 Koreans, or at least to the lower bracket. And now he's going to see if he can do the same thing to the greatest Terran player of all time, IEM MVP. Without further ado, I'm going to bring out Mr. LG IEM MVP. All that applause, that's great. And his opponent, the Miracle Man, Mind Freak, Targa. All right, guys, good luck, have fun, fighting. And once again, day 9 in Kalaris, I hope.
Oh, surprise, Jared, it's day 9 in Moonglade here as we are on day number 1 of IEM's Gamescom competition where we're doing the open bracket, and Gamescom actually has not even officially started for spectators. It is industry only day, so we can start a full day early. Without any further ado, I want to ask a little bit about your experience with Targa, because he is a Norwegian player living out in Australia,
Yep.
and you are Australian.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Targa as a player?
He's a very innovative player, actually. He does come up with a lot of interesting strategies. He's very aggressive. He can be very aggressive. He kind of changed the meta of Southeast Asian ZVZ above anything else. We have a strategy called Targa Banes, where it's like 3 gas, Zergling Bailing all in.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And basically, yeah, he's just a really creative player, and he's very strong in macro games too. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he pulls out against MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he's managed to do such an incredible run through really good Protoss players thus far. However, I'm curious what you think about him in the Zerg vs. Terran matchup, specifically against MVP.
Absolutely. I'm kind of curious myself, is we don't have a lot of Zergs back home, so sorry, a lot of Terrans back home. So we don't get to showcase a lot of ZVT. So he can do either way, and he's got a lot of good timing. So it's going to be very exciting to see.
Yeah, the one thing I'm really excited about MVP, who's always been a really good player. I think that goes kind of without saying. I mean, MVP almost always does, I think, the most straightforward style of Terran vs. Zerg. He doesn't do a lot of Hellions, a lot of Banshees, a lot of Reapers, or crazy stuff with Marauders. He literally builds Marine Tank and just pushes at interesting times with those Marine Tanks, especially the sort of tank, or the stimless Marine Tank pushes, where he relies more on siege mode than anything else.
Yeah, and I guess lately he's been suffering from wrist problems, has he not? I've noticed that a lot in his recent games.
Yes. Yeah.
So it might come into factor in playing, whether it's going to be shorter games or less macro kind of games. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping to see a more aggressive MVP, as really Terrans in the last few months have sort of discovered that you really have to be very aggressive against Zergs. You have to be really clever with your aggression timings, because if you don't, Zergs just keep droning.
They just make queens and drones, man.
I know, that's like your favorite thing to do, Moonglade.
That's what I like to do, man. But yeah, Terrans have definitely had to adapt to the style, and
yeah, I mean, I'd almost want to ask what the biggest sort of shift that you felt in terms of where your strengths lie as a Zerg versus where the weaknesses lie as Terran.
Well, to begin with, it used to be when the patch came out, Queens got range. Terrans freaked out, and they were just unsure of what to do. But I think since then, Terrans have become a lot more comfortable with the idea that Queens have range, so you can't just abuse Hellions, and they've definitely realized that they can macro harder behind it, or they can go for like Marine timings to stop the third base, because Queens are obviously not good against the massive Marines. And there's a lot of interesting timings Terrans can do against the 3-hatch, no gas, mass Queen sort of play.
Well, I mean, we've been curious about with Targa, like you said, he's more aggressive player, he's very tends to be unorthodox, but can play those long-term macro games. We generally see that Zerg players are going for this long-term game plan, super defensive in the early game, and this has almost come to bite a lot of Zergs in the ass, where the Terran can easily go for 3 command center 100% of the times in some way, shape, or form. Does Targa favor that style of play? Is that going to be his strong suit?
I think he can definitely play that style very well. he has a very strong macro, but I wouldn't be surprised if he throws in some Roach all-ins or some Zergling Baneling all-ins, especially. He can really do anything, which is going to really be his strong suit.
Yeah, I mean, the first map is going to be Ohana, which is pretty well suited for that kind of standard early layer timing, the Ling, Baneling, Roach with speed all in.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you go for the fast third base. That timing actually works out super nicely because most Terrans are tending to be quite aggressive. It's exactly how Delphi managed to take down Bomber in that first series that we saw today.
Yeah.
And yes, the countdown has begun.
Excellent.
Yes, we're going into the game.
Finally.
And it looks like it will be once again
Sunny
between
good.
Targa. Amazingly, Targa is here in the grand finals of that open bracket, going up against IEM and
Man, C players were pretty good back there. You never get to see us play, but you know.
you can train on the Korean server with relative ease. With relatively low
yeah,
ping.
we have like a around 150, 200 ping. It's not impossible to play, and yeah, we do okay. It's good that we have other C players out here showing this stuff.
Up in the top left corner, coming out from Korea, it is going to be LGIM's MVP. And down in the bottom right corner, from Team Mindfreak is going to be Targa, the Norwegian player, currently studying out in Australia on that C server, and that is not letter C,
No.
that is SEA, Southeast Asia server. And this is a really interesting scout pattern.
That's
by
a
Targa.
really funky Overlord.
Wow.
I guess he's really concerned about proxy barracks. It's quite interesting. Normally, you would send it to probably to the right of the natural of the Terran, so you can gauge if he's going to go for a fast command center. And he's also at the same time going for a really early drone scout. So he's concerned greatly about proxy barracks.
Yeah, that is a little unusual, and it looks like MVP is doing something a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit
he's kind
aggressive.
of like feeding the fears of Targa right now because he's really misplaced his barracks, and it's gonna, if Targa doesn't see it, he's gonna assume it's gonna be a proxy or it's gonna be a command center first, and this might worry him, and he might overreact to it.
Yeah, there's Targa instantly going with the early hatchery. I'm curious to see how many drones he's going to build, because if you're spending that much effort scouting, I mean, look at these overlords. Holy jeez. I mean, most notably, I think Targa should be scouting the most obvious region for the proxies, which is right here, just to the left of his vision.
Yeah,
I'm surprised to see
absolutely.
him not doing that.
Absolutely. He seems to be really afraid, and he sees that the orbital's being made, so he's obviously a barrack somewhere. And yeah.
Well,
But he's still droning. He's still droning hard. He's going gasless, so I guess he's just going to react if he sees it coming.
yeah, you know, I honestly like the idea of scouting around quite early. I like being really bold with droning if you can get away with it, but I think Targa's being just a little bit too precautious. Right now would be an excellent time to sneak in another drone.
See, here's the biggest problem with sending that Overlord pretty much to your natural is because you don't see the command center. And if that Marine was placed directly on the ramp, he would not have got that drone up there to even have a look at it. So that was very fortunate for Targa to scout that. And so he knows exactly what's going on now. It was actually a 1-rax expand. And he'll just drone hard behind it. Though he is getting a gas.
This is a kind of awkwardly timed gas. Most notably, you'll see 17 gas, perhaps 28 after you get your first 2 queens up are very common timings. But kind of getting this at like a 21-ish timing.
Yes.
It almost seems like he's saying, I want to get speed and take a fast third, but I don't really want to commit to doing any early aggression. This is one of those just-in-case plays.
It really could open up a lot of avenues, but it could be like a kind of like a 2-base mutas, or it could be like a roach. Oh, and he puts down a roach warrant, so he is going to be aggressive. Wait, he cancels it.
Oh,
Maybe it was going to be
yeah.
it was going to be a mind game, but unfortunately MVP didn't buy into it. Didn't want to suicide that SCV.
MVP is kind of a difficult player to play the mind game trick on. I mean,
He would probably be one of the strongest mind gamers out there, I'd say.
yeah, I mean, already moving out with these Marines, trying to do all sorts of coverage all over the map, trying to make sure he can pick off any of these awkwardly positioned overlords from Targa. But nope, looks like Targa was in reasonable enough position, but still, that unit lost tab. Despite all the dancing that's gone on, the only thing that's really been lost is some resources from canceling that Roach warrant.
Yeah, exactly. That's really crazy, and it's still on 2 base. So I'm guessing he wanted to go. He was worried about Marine aggression to get that 3rd base. A lot of Marine aggression goes on in this map because it's so short and it's really easy to just cancel that 3rd base if enough Marines are made. So he was going for kind of like a fast speed, delayed 3rd base, and yeah, he's got one extra queen so far, so he's not doing the kind of traditional like 6 queens expand or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's making some more defensive zerglings.
Whoa, 14 zerglings coming out right now. I mean, you have to do an attack right now if you're in Targa's shoes.
This is really interesting. It looks like it's going to be just a mass zergling timing attack, and it's something you don't really see very often. But I guess if MVP isn't really suspecting it, this could do a lot of damage.
Yeah, MVP is the sort of player who will, with these first 2 Hellions, not try to attack, not try to bust in and do all that damage. He'll just try to sit and get map control. Look at this, already making sure that his third is covered, doing the very, very standard.
This might even be a problem because those Hellions are on the other side of the map instead of taking that tower right next to the Zerg base. All these Zerglings are going to slip on past right up to the main. Oh, he sees 2 Zerglings but doesn't get the idea.
Will he be able to lift in time? And he doesn't. Oh, a big flub.
Get into the main.
This is so uncommon. This is one of the most uncommon timing attacks I've ever seen. It looks like he's going to go ahead and target fire that tech lab.
Absolutely crazy.
Make sure that there's no cloak getting out. But I think that, I mean, MVP gets the way better end of this deal.
Yeah, there was definitely not enough damage done to SCVs or anything really. And those Hellions are just going to clean it up. And he's just going to stabilize completely, and those Zerglings will be a waste. And third base isn't even building for Targa, so he's going to be pretty behind because of this this attack. As cool as it was, and how potentially damaging it could have been, it was not.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get tempted by the big, badass run by against a player like MVP, but unless you do significant damage, I mean, the Unus Lost tab really shows it all, and now, oh, look at a great response there by MVP. What else can Targa really have to defend against this?
Oh, goodness, he's not getting him into the main. Oh, my God, it's going to be so much damage.
That's a lot of drones that just got roasted right there, and these drones trying to run around, all get picked off. A lot of queens out there.
Not as much as you'd think died then, but still pretty damaging. A lot more damaging than the Zergling run by.
Yeah, I almost feel like if he just run in and just picked off this bunker right away, it would have been probably the most damaging.
I was thinking that was what was going to happen, but then he saw that the main was open. There was the supply depots were down, and he was just like, wait, I can go inside.
Yeah, your eyes get big.
Yeah, he kind of freaked out because it actually worked, sort of thing.
There's the SCV there doing the manor block, but not for long. Even MVP makes mistakes and loses that one single SCV. Meanwhile, on the main base, we do see just kind of going for a standard transition back to straight Marine medevac. And most commonly with one of these early Banshee Hellion plays, following it up with the 1-1 upgrade, so that way any follow-up aggression is obviously much stronger, but most importantly, you're beating Zerg towards his race to the end game.
Absolutely. Getting the upgrade advantage is absolutely huge with Terran. With Zerg, it's really essential to keep up at least with the upgrades. If you're behind like 1 attack to 1 armor, your Zerglings just melt so much faster to Marines. It's really
yeah, especially the +1 vehicle weapons is quite an important upgrade in this matchup because then you can kill Zerglings in 1 shot.
Yeah.
Zerglings with that armor upgrade can withstand a full shot all on their own.
Absolutely.
Not when that upgrade pops up. Right now with Targa, just trying to tech up in the sort of standard Zerg way, getting 1-1, getting extra hatches, but weirdly Aspire. I mean, so many Zergs are doing a Ling Infestor thing nowadays. Do you feel like the Ling Infestor must be the only correct decision on a map that's as small as this? I mean, some successive mutas on this map.
Well, the whole idea behind mutas is you've got to be aggressive with it. So I'm guessing like a map of this size is probably more favorable to a muta kind of play. Especially like if you like aggressive styles, mutas are a good way to play. But he really has to do damage with it. And coming from behind like Targa is right now with a failed aggression and taking a lot of damage, it's going to be even harder to pull it off.
I mean, it just seems so difficult to pull off a muta harass on a map that's this thin from left to right. I mean, your mutas get zoned out by a bunch of Marines, and then you're instantly
it's really something like mutas are kind of like the tank killers in this sort of situation because it's such a nice cliff there. You kind of really have to like have a great position and just really bum rush all the tanks while your Zerglings and Banelings hit all the Marines.
Double Viking play from MVP does manage to gobble up a few Overlords. 3 total get picked off, but most importantly, Targa does not have as much vision coverage.
It's got some pretty solid creep spread there, I must say. It's going towards his base, kind of sees all the important parts, so he'd see if the tank's coming rather well.
Does have 6 queens out on the map and 4 hatches total, 1 macro hatch up in the main. Mutalisk now popping out. I mean, for all the sort of I guess, wobbliness we've seen out of Targa at the start of the game, he is recovering quite well.
Definitely still has the chance to come back in this. I'm guessing he's going to really favor aggression soon enough. So looks like MVP is kind of taking it to him, clearing some creep and some queens. The mutas are out though, so he's going to actually claim both medivacs and marines.
And an incredibly nice pickup for Targa, who's going to have to start unloading in a moment here, but MVP might get a little bit overeager. I mean, this is a potentially big opportunity for Targa to just gobble these units up, but decides to pull back, do the safe play. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's so easy for me as the commentator, to just look at the screen and say, oh, incidentally it'll work, but I think it's always a safe play.
Definitely one of the scariest things to like just be running after like some dropships towards the Terran base. You don't know what's going to be stimming and coming at you. It could be an army that's just going to crush everything. So
fortunately, Targa runs into a couple of Hellions. Any free unit will be helpful at this point in time. And right now, MVP is going to have a really muscular timing push, and he has a clear one coming up in about a minute and a half with that 2-2 push.
Oh, yeah.
It's so stupidly good. Mutalisks melt to 2-2. And Targa has to start pulling back to something non-Mutalisky if he wants to be able to cope with that push directly.
It really appears that Targa is really just going to go for this whole Zergling Muta-Bane tactic. Maybe he's going to wait until he can like really get a good position on his army if MVP decides to move out at some point, or is he just going to like try and bulldoze it right now? Probably right now would be the best option before 2-2 happens. Of course, he doesn't know what's going to happen, but he's massing up a great deal of Zergling Baneling, so it looks like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, there just must be some sort of reasonable stepping stone. I mean, getting Infestation Pit now, he could completely cut Mutalisk production, get the Pathogen Glands upgrade, and then flood with Zerglings to try to do a kill off. And while that's going on, then he can just go drone Infester and hope to do some sort of spine Infester defense while he gets Ultras. But even so, that's such a long timing to try to work with.
Long way away. And MVP I think he kind of suspects something's happening, so he's in like a perfect position.
Oh, wow, MVP really saw this one coming, but the Zerglings are exploiting the fact that these Marines are so spread out. Some excellent surrounds.
Oh, wow.
And now the Banelings rolling in. This is actually
great Baneling hits.
Pretty good exchange here from Targa, especially if he kills off a lot of these workers. It looks like there are the Marines stepping down. The Banelings try to get into a good spot, don't quite manage to do it. 54 Zerglings on the way, and it looks like in all that exchanging, only 9 more workers have been killed off.
Oh dear. And 2-2 is finished. 2-2 finished during that fight, so it was really favored position upgrades. Everything kind of went in MVP's favor. So it was not a good timing by Targa. And yeah, of course the damage he took early really put him behind for that kind of timing, and it was unfortunate. And it's going to be harder, even harder now, because his 3-3 is going to be so much behind MVP's, and MVP's going to have like a great timing for a 3-3 sort of push.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that you're Moonglade?
I'm Moonglade.
Let me ask you, Moonglade, do you think MVP should be moving out before 3-3? I mean, he'll certainly be maxed before them.
I think he's got time. I think he can wait a little while longer, especially because he just wiped out like a massive army of Zerg, and his upgrades are ahead. He hasn't got a 4th base finished yet, so he might want to wait until that's finished, float it over while he does aggression. It looks like he's already beginning his kind of like drops to kind of put the Zerg out of position, which is really important if you want to push out.
Yeah.
You really got to like draw them away from like the ultimate kind of like sandwich or anything like that. And as you can see, like the massive army is just sitting right at the front.
And this medevac drop is going to do gigantic damage. And right at the same time, MVP moves out. This is the perfect timing and the perfect angle by MVP.
Oh, this is not a good position. And yeah, this is kind of expected. Like as a Zerg player, when you see like a drop randomly during the game happen, it's probably they're going to push out at the same time. So you really have to be on your guard.
Immediately, Targa gets off a pretty nice transfuse, but he's in a lot of trouble as the Zerglings start to come back. And this is always a telltale sign that it is a good time to be pushing as the Terran. You see all the Zerglings pulling back. That means the center is completely free for your tanks to move across.
Just killing all the creep he can while he has the time. And yeah, his 4th just finished. He's flying into his 4th base while these drops are continually taking Targa's time up. So he's going to have that 4th base just landed in planetary making in a great position with all these Marine tanks and Thors, clearing creep as he goes. This is looking absolutely great for MVP, and 3-3 is almost finished, so, and that's just a disgusting upgrade. It just makes it so incredibly hard for Zergs, that especially behind an upgrades to really fight that.
Targa still has a lot of gas in the bank, has not gotten any sort of 3-3 upgrades, is pulling back, and now immediately goes for the counterattack while the completely free, wide-open expansion. The center-right expansion is actually still quite vulnerable, so Zerglin's trying to do some counterattacking up to third base, successfully get off some SCVs, but I mean, MVP's really stepping into action, darting down to that bottom left side.
He's taking advantage of this and just going straight to the third base. He's probably going to... Oh, his tanks are kind of out of position, though. If Targa takes advantage of this, could be good.
Oh, and there it looks like he's darting around. The Mutalisks are not at the best angle. The tanks target fire all the Banelings, and there's a lot of Infestors out of position. The Ultralisks step into action as well. And there, the Mutalisks and Ultralisks will be able to get some nice, clean hits on all those tanks. There's Jam. He doesn't manage to get a shot off, so a nice exchange from Targa.
Not bad, but it was kind of like an army he was prepared to throw away because he was making so much at home, and he took out the third base, and the Zerg had to invest so much in just killing all those tanks and Marines.
What an uncharacteristic mistake from MVP, accidentally leaving all these medevacs to be picked off by this Muta and Infestor composition. That's going to be a nice little boost up in the unit counting station. You see there's only 4 medevacs on the map. Used to be 10. The real issue for Targa is that he just doesn't have any big mining bases. He has that one at the right, but there's nothing that's really been sent over to it. More Infestors being produced.
And he's still not getting his 3-3 upgrades, which is probably the most important thing in this situation. Though I'm thinking he's rather desperate right now, and he's just going for kind of like a last hope kind of kill, because it's really losing momentum, and of course his economy is so far behind now.
One of these weird situations that Targa finds himself in where he has 2,000 gas, and ordinarily that's the one thing that all players are so desperately trying to get as Zerg. And here it looks like an attempted counter push. The desperation is really clear. Incredible fungal growth, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And just barely doesn't kill a huge set of Marines. He will redden up all those Marines. And there's the good game. You know, I feel like Targa's feeling, at the very least, a little frustrated with kind of how that game went. It was MVP doing a sort of straight right, getting quite far ahead, then behind, and then ahead and behind, and these exchanges going really in his favor and then really poorly in his favor.
Yeah, he really mistimed his kind of Zergling Baneling Muta attack, and it really put him behind. The attack completely failed. MVP read it completely, and perfect position, upgrades at his advantage, and then it was just a matter of time until Targa really bit the bullet.
At the same time, Targa had a similar series against Ace, where he loses the first match, wins the next 2, and it is kind of this, I guess I'd almost say, leveling yourself, where you try to think your opponent's thinking this and that way, maybe I can break it by this weird transition, but MVP just essentially said, okay, we're probably going to attack. I'll wait very patiently.
Yeah.
And there's the attack.
He is a very patient Terran. I played him at BlizzCon last year, and he plays the exact same way. He's just very patient, loves his upgrades, and I pretty much lost the exact same way. So Targa will have to completely change his idea up this game, or go for earlier timing.
Well, the map is going to be Metropolis. Again, I think it's unclear if Terrans really like this map or not. Sure, they get all the room to get their 3 bases up. Sure, they can actually play as patiently as they want, but it's almost too difficult to mount a big attack for either player. You have to rely on some sort of crazy ultra late game gas heavy style. A lot of Ravens, a lot of Ghosts. Zergs we see do a lot of drop play, a lot of Nidus Worm play. It's just so difficult, and wow. Holy cow, it's going to be the longest possible positions we could ever have.
This is going to be quite a long game.
Let's go ahead and introduce our players and their positions up in the top side. The unlikely to be in the winner's bracket final player from Norway, currently living in Australia and now here in Germany. It's Mind Freaks Targa. Down in south position from South Korea and having so many gold medals from GSL that if he went swimming with them, he would drown. He pulled straight to the bottom of the ocean with all those golds. It is going to be LGIM's MVP. Now, I want to ask you right off the bat, Moonblade, in your experience playing as Zerg against Terrans on this map, what is it that gives you the most trouble?
This map. Well, it goes for like, I guess Terran's it's set up for really late games. There's a lot of ways to play Terran late game, like, and it's so easy to hold the third and fourth bases.
Yeah.
It makes for like a frustrating late game, and it's really hard to hit timings or anything of that sort. So you kind of have to play passive defensive, and you really have to wait for the opportunity to attack. So I think this is a really nice map for Terrans that really like late game, especially like MVP, who loves to go 3-3 and just chill and wait for a good moment to attack.
Yeah, actually, if you haven't seen the late game of MVP, it's such a treat. He does a very smart technique that you'll rarely ever see, which is to slowly replace the supply you invest in Marines with Ghosts. So we'll end up with this 55 Ghost, 7 tanks, 6 medevac composition.
That sounds really difficult.
Yeah, you actually can't kill it. I mean, he almost has so many snipes, he can snipe your individual Zerglings before they get there. But it's an extremely difficult composition to deal with. I mean, even with the traditional Infestor Broodlord mixture, I mean, no matter how many of those Overseers you get, he can snipe them off and cloak and run underneath and
nuke,
throw down a million EMPs and nuke and this and that. But
absolutely, Ghost late game in TVZ are amazing. They really do have a purpose, especially with nuking random bases, killing all the larvae, killing all the tech. So many things Terran can do, and I'm sure MVP is very equipped to do such things.
And I guess I'd ask a sort of similar question of, what is the late game for Zerg like? I mean, right now we do see IEM MVP going for the early expand and the 2 racks, a very standard early expand play. Targa has not yet taken any gas geysers, will likely be taking a fast third of his own, so what does the Zerg do to get to this late game?
Well, I guess pretty much the most standard kind of late game for Zerg and ZBT would be obviously Ling, Infestor, Ultra, and then it goes kind of like a tech switch. I feel like tech switching is like the most important thing at the right time. You make them commit a lot to, say, Vikings, and you have a big fight, hopefully a very cost-efficient fight against the Terran, and you lose all your Broodlords eventually because Vikings are so difficult to deal with, especially in certain situations. Especially on this map that has 2 great chokes to every base.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably follow up with the great Ultralist switch. And I guess it's all about the economy you've banked, and it really depends on how everything up to that stage has gone, but Zerg's pretty much the ultimate weapon Zerg have late game is the giant tech switch.
But what do you think about the fact that with Queens having that range 5 in the late game, getting the ability to get 15 to 20 of them up and doing this incredibly slow but indestructible Queen Ultra Broodlord composition?
Yeah, that's an amazing composition for sure. But this map is incredibly big, so it does give Terran a lot of time if they identify what's coming, and I guess it really depends on how it gets to that stage. And with 2 racks kind of opening by MVP, he's going to be really aggressive with Marines and stop that third base going up. So Targa's going to have to identify that this is exactly what's happening, which he has seen. So he's going to know that he's going to need a lot of Zerglings at some point and some really nice creep spread leading up to that third base.
Yeah, I mean, this is the classic MVP move, going and hunting down those Overlords. And there we see Targa starting to step into the base, but again, he's not really going to get anything particularly useful. He's going to get in there and find out that MVP is doing an extremely standard play. He's just going for Marines, 3 orbital commands, and some aggression. Small amount of Marines will get easily shut down by these 4 Queens.
Absolutely. And looks like here comes some aggression. He's going to try and catch the Queens here, but 4 Queens are waiting for him, so he might back off. Possibly wait for some more. Doesn't seem to be very committing hard. A lot of Zergs are very cautious when this kind of amount of Marines are on the map. Kind of makes them really worry about their third base and the timing that might happen against it. But so far, Targa hasn't felt really threatened by this, and he thinks Queens are enough. But MVP is going to have a poke, and he's going to have a look at to see if he can do some damage. And there's
Looks
Queen.
like stepping up. Oh, MVP again. Doing the decision. He can't possibly know that the Queens are in this different formation, but still doing the right choice.
That was a brilliant choice because it forced Targa to make 14 Zerglings right now. And yeah, and now he's just going to go home. He's not going to lose those Marines. He's forced a lot of larvae to become Zerglings, and he's sitting right. His third base is up even before Targa's, or just as Targa's finishes, three mules drop on two mules drop on the third base. So he's looking really good for the mid game.
The weird spot that MVP's put himself in is that with the Zergling speed almost done, these extra pack of Zerglings will immediately go check this third base for any standard Zerg player. Targa now just massing up drones. They're going a little bit in different directions, and ooh, interestingly, 26 Zerglings going down.
This is probably a really great idea by Targa. He's seen like a lot of investment into Marines. He's suicided an Overlord. He saw the factory and he saw the starport. So this kind of gives him the impression that it's going to be pure Marine medibag. So there's no tanks, which means a lot of Zerglings and a lot of Banelings are going to do a lot of damage if the position is right.
And it looks like there he is moving forward with all the Zerglings. He's already cleared off the watchtowers. Is he going to go straight for Banelings right now, or is he just going to try to rush him, break down the front door? And it looks like
this is really great.
Oh, he's hitting right before Stim, doing huge damage, and gets completely surrounded. There's no medevacs quite yet. Completely catches MVP off guard, and now it looks like Targa can get the chance to walk up. No, he might just sit here and pick off all these flighty posts, which is going to be just a terrible spot to be in enough as MVP. And right now, this bottom left third expansions has another free set of SCVs edit, and that's exactly where Targa wants to head.
Very nice by Targa, and he's following up with some more Zerglings, and now he's decided to go back into droning, getting Aspires, Baneling speed, more gases, and yeah, he's looking very strong with this kind of damage.
Targa has, I think, already done the damage that he needs with some considerable opportunities to deal more damage that he hasn't taken advantage of yet. He could have killed off these extra depots in the front before moving down to the bottom left, but either way, Targa is in great condition. He's completely free from getting dropped for the next little bit of time. But it seems like the best choice for Targa right now would be to consider the double expand here on the right. Oh, and there it is, getting started already. Look at that creep spread, holy cow.
That's a lot of tumors. And yeah, getting a fourth base right now is a perfect idea. At the moment you see that third command center, especially at the third base, you want to get that fourth up, and you want to stay ahead of the bases. And I guess he's going to keep denying that third base for as long as he can. All the Marines died, so there's no real threatening Marine force going to be on the map anytime soon. This is going to give him a lot of time. He's going to drop some creep with that Overlord, which is perfect. And this is really going to put him ahead. So long as he doesn't throw it away with some aggression into great defense like he did last game, I think he's going to look real great. And making 12 Mutalisks right now, so could be very similar to last game.
Targa found literally a 15-second timing window and just crushed that early set of Marine pressure. And now this extra medevac out in the middle of the map, it looks like MVP is going to try to do a little bit of harassment, but the Mutalisks are going to be here in no time. They've already hashed. Here they are coming down from the top side. And there's MVP's signal to try to unload down here on the low ground as fast as he can. He identifies. He will get to unload, it looks like, with one Marine, but not going to be enough. Infestation Pit going down. And I have to ask you, Moonblade, at what point do you have to stop making Mutalisks in this position?
Probably, I guess it really depends on how far ahead you feel you are as to how much you can get away with. But a really great way to do it is to make 10 to 12 Mutalisks straight up, force them to really get anti-air, and then go straight into Infestors and Broodlords even. And there appears to be only one turret just finished, and it looks like he's going to claim a lot of these reactors with all these Mutalisks, which is a really great idea.
First he's going to try to pick off a couple of Marines. Doesn't get incredible results, but does step himself forward just a pinch. His fourth base is up. Makes sure to get that forward and spine appropriately. Hive now going down. No fifth base has been planted on the map yet, but there are a lot of Ling Muta up in the middle of the map, and you can tell Targa's itching for some huge run-in, some huge crushing blow to knock down the front door, but MVP's managed to successfully secure that front, and he's looking pretty comfortable on MVP's front, even though he won't be able to attack for a long time.
He's really smartly not invested anything in Banelings just yet too. So he's kind of gone Mutaling.
Oh yeah.
And he's only probably going to use Banelings if he actually has to defend. But at this point, his Zerglings alone did enough damage, so he can just invest that all in Infestors and teching, which is going to put him very far ahead.
Target now managing to find that there's still a bunch of juicy reactors. Picks off one, doesn't quite get the second. But still, that's damage enough as MVP is again going to be slowed on his sprint up to that 200 supply. The scan from MVP right at the 15-minute mark. Kind of an early scan against a Ling Muta in player, but an excellent scan given the position that Targa's in. And now there's the conclusion of the Hive. And almost certainly Targa's going to want to be going for Broodlords. No reason to go for Ultralisks in this position as he has plenty of time. Well, he is going Ultra. Ugh.
It could be a double tech, so the Terran player won't actually know which one he's going unless he scans the army. And it's always good to have both options readily.
I'm starting to get queasy. I don't see a Greater Spire yet, Moonblade.
Yeah, I really want to see that Greater Spire go up.
I mean, he has all the time in the world. Well, this is actually kind of... There it is, finally going down.
Oh, yeah, good. And here come the Corruptors too, so he's definitely going to start with at least Broodlords and probably go into Ultras afterwards.
I'm starting to get totally panicked. Interestingly, we see that our Terran buddy MVP has already begun making these extra starports, poignantly aware of how huge a problem Broodlords are going to be. He's just going to have to blindly begin pumping out the Vikings. He wasn't even quite sure that there was a bunch of Corruptors coming when he started those extra 2 starports, but that's just what you have to do.
I guess when you see a Spire opening, you kind of assume the easiest option for them is going to be Broodlords. Yeah. So you want to have that ready at least. But it looks like he's making tech labs on both starports, which is most interesting. Instead of, are we going to see like BCs or Ravens? This is kind of cool.
Well, we do see Terrans doing really late game mass Raven, really late game mass Ghost on this map, and it's obviously a difficult thing to deal with.
Absolutely. Very, very strong. Definitely underused, the Ravens still, I feel.
We see 10 more of those spine crawlers going down, but certainly not anywhere in the middle of the map, as there's just no space given the number of creep tumors that are there.
That's a ridiculous amount of creep tumors.
And there it is, 2 Ravens going down. I do completely agree with your comment that the Ravens are super underused in this matchup.
They'll be amazingly effective against Broodlords if they get enough energy in time. Seeker missiles are amazing.
Gosh, I mean, Seeker missiles will completely negate the cost efficiency of any Zerg army, especially Broodlord Corruptor. Few things kill it as fast, as efficiently as Seeker missiles. I mean, if we start to see some Seeker missiles, I'm actually just going to leave the Units Lost tab open and just marvel at how tiny this bar is going to get for Terran and how huge it's going to get for Zerg.
I didn't even want to watch when that happens. It's going to be messy. But,
oh, you're such a Zerg player. Come on, it's good for esports, Moonblade.
I guess.
There's the Seeker missile upgrade going down, and this medevac drop will do some damage. It's coupled with another medevac drop that's going on the right side. Excellent positioning here by Targa, who's now 213 of 200, but this is a good way to free up food for MVP so that he can get those Ravens up.
Absolutely. That's really cool. 210 hours supply. He really wants to make that super mega death ball.
Both players are actually very happy with this exchange. The Zerglings allow the Zerg player to replace this food with things that are gas expensive, and likewise Marines want to replace those with Ravens.
Very true.
Ravens being produced 2 at a time. Do note that Ravens take 1 minute to build. He wants to get up to around 16 of them.
Wow.
And he actually will just go ahead and take 10 minutes to do that. So straightforward at this point for Terran, and MVP we've seen do in all matchups, long-term turtle styles.
Absolutely.
Looks like Targa now moving up to the left side of the map. Huge Broodlord force coming up. Marines, medevacs, Marauders trying to clear out all these creep tumors, but with the number of them that there are out on the field, I don't even know if he can kill them off in time. The huge Death Force coming in. I love it. 2 queens in there.
Those Zerglings. I think you really need those Zerglings to kind of help out the Broodlords for Marines. You don't want them to all die. And you really need some buffer there. Otherwise, Marines will just get in there and start focus firing down Broodlords. And it looks like MVP actually has enough energy to do some Seeker missiles if he really desires to. I think he just realized that he's moving forward now.
It's going to be a super dangerous spot.
And look how clumped up they are, man. This is really scary for Targa. He really needs to. Now there we go. He decides to split them up a bit more. And those queens are helping out greatly. But here comes the Ravens.
Ravens, and there's the Seeker missiles going down. Manages to land about 1, but
hey, that
no
didn't
more.
do too much damage. That was actually really nice by Targa. And this is looking really promising. Dude, that is a lot of Vikings.
That Viking count gets obliterated immediately, and exactly as we were talking about earlier, Moonblade, there we see the Ling Ultra transition from Targa as he's just rallying in.
Perfect play. Absolutely what you want to do against Terran. And now MVP is going to be fully investing into Vikings, 6 Vikings at a time. And after all this is said and done, if it actually doesn't end right now, mass ultras are going to be coming next, and yeah, Vikings aren't going to be much
And look at
use.
this. This is a nice little play from MVP, trying to save his skin by picking off expansions with a small number of units. But Targa is just in absolutely perfect position, and I just couldn't agree with you more, Moonblade. This was a perfect play game from Targa. Just absolutely perfect. Zergling's picking off everything down in the bottom left. All these expansions along the left-hand side not doing well at all. The small pack Marines might be able to do some semblance of damage.
Yeah, he really needs to make some bailings, I think, to really deal with that force. But his bailing list was just right out the front of his natural, so he's going to have to wait a little bit longer before he can really clean up this army. Though I don't think ultimately it's going to really prove to be much of a problem. As long as he doesn't feed too many units into it, it just makes him his whole army is just crushing the main base, and it's just a matter of time.
The Targa is in just the winningest of possible positions at this juncture. He just needs to clean up these Marines, and then MVP will no doubt be forced to
he keeps streaming Zerglings in one by one.
What is going on? MVP just continues to just spread and stim. There, he finally has to lift up. With 5 Ultralists in production, Targa is looking excellent in the main base. The Vikings still have not been able to successfully kill off this force because transfuse between Broodlord and Corruptor is so good. And finally, the beefy force of Targa gets killed. And
MVP, he does have that fighting spirit. He always likes to push the game right to the end. So probably won't see him GG until like he's lost his, I guess, 4th and 5th bases.
Well, I mean, it's a smart play, right? I mean, you think to yourself as MVP, I have the best endurance in the world, so yeah. I'll spend some of my unlimited endurance to waste your mortal limited endurance.
Exactly.
He's hoping to have a tired Targa in the next match.
Well, hopefully MVP isn't suffering at all from his wrist problems, or otherwise it's going to be counterproductive. But it is a good idea to wear out your opponents and try and frustrate them as much as you can in this kind of situation.
And finally, the Planetary Fortress falls, and GG. Targa ties the series up against IEM MVP 1-1. He's totally blown away by himself, and I actually think that he should be. I mean, that Zergling timing at the start of the game was just gorgeous. That was pretty to watch. I mean, it's such an odd timing. I mean, pretty much if you're Terran.
I must agree. It's something you would be expecting. To be running at you randomly.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that if you're a Terran player, you think, okay, I'm going to open up Marines, Hellions, it doesn't matter. The Zerg has to defend. And then right when he's getting ready to attack, that's when I have my Marine medevac out, and then he has to defend.
Exactly.
And the only time he can then attack after that is when I have tanks up. Haha. But MVP got run down with Zerglings like 15 seconds before those popped up. I mean, that is like the most impressive result that I've ever heard in my life.
Great timing.
So it will be going on to map number 3 that I do believe will be on Cloud Kingdom, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yep, Cloud Kingdom will be the map. Now, Cloud Kingdom is a kind of interesting map just because of how the 4th/5th expansions work. Your main, your natural, and your second natural, very clear which ones you want to take. But in terms of 4th and 5th, how does taking which expansion factor into the Zerg late game mix? Because it seems like if you are going for some sort of Broodlord tech, you have to take the closer one.
Yeah.
But if you're going to this Ultralist tech, or even going Ling Muta, just spreading out across the map really helps. How does the expanding patterns work for Zerg in this matchup?
It's certainly very difficult to expand, to take a 4th on either side on this map because it's so close to Terran bases.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess it really depends on the lead up until that game, till the mid to late game. And I think the most common is like probably the base from the 3rd base. That's probably the most common expansion for Zergs, but it's such an easy base to attack, especially with siege tanks.
Yeah.
Which makes it so unpleasant. But of course, from the other direction, you got the Terran's 3rd base, their 4th base, and then it's going to be your 4th base, which is like even shorter. So it's very difficult, and you really want to have amazing creep spread and good map control for that point. So from that point, so
because I know that Zergs in the late game desperately need the 8 gas up. So in order to get that up, I mean, I've seen some players like earlier today I saw Bly double expand. He took both possible 4ths.
That's also a really good idea, especially as you can sacrifice one for the other.
It looks like, actually, both players are in the game. They're ready to go. And they've just said good luck, have fun. So it will be on Cloud Team, which interestingly has been in every single series thus far today.
It's a popular map, I must say.
I honestly think it's my favorite map in the map pool.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Daybreak.
You would, you Zerg player. It's just like, I'm just going to expand and just leave me alone, okay? I just want to play a single-player map.
It's a good map for every race, I feel. It's no real disadvantage for anyone. It always will go to like mid-game usually, and it's a nice map.
What I'm hoping to see on this map, and the reason I like this map, is that it's that tension around fourth bases, that there's a lot of big three-base play. I mean, almost all Terran vs. Zerg play nowadays is based around big three-base aggression.
Yeah,
but then how unstable things get when going for a fourth. Even Terran can't quite move out comfortably because Zergs that are good at monitoring bases will counterattack. Countdown has begun. It is now time to see the big surprise of the tournament, Targa going up against the most stable player in the world, MVP. Now, I have to ask, what does Targa have to do to take a win here against MVP?
I reckon he's going to have something very aggressive planned. I think that's going to be his plan. He's going to really push, maybe even the Mass Zerglings again. We're not entirely sure. I guess it'll depend on what kind of opening he scouts from MVP. But I do think Targa really favors aggression, so I'm sure he has something up his sleeve.
I'm really excited to see if he does any more of that Mass Zergling stuff. In the bottom left corner, the man who has done 2 Mass Ling attacks. One went great, and one went really not so great at all.
It could have gone great. It actually had the potential to be amazing, but it just didn't happen.
Well, oh, I forgot I'm introducing a player. The guy in the bottom left who did that Zergling aggression, it will be Mind Freak's Targa. And up in the top right, hailing from South Korea, with 4 GSL titles under his belt.
That's ridiculous.
4.
That's so much money.
That's so much winning. What do you?
Oh, okay.
Let's ignore the money for a moment.
All right.
Right?
So much winning.
I mean, there are people who win the lottery who have way more impressive results monetarily.
That's true.
But I mean,
he does win a lot, and I believe it's all due to his mind games. He really comes out with some amazing stuff in the big games, and yeah. I guess it might be a lot harder for him in these kind of tournaments to just do well because he doesn't have any sort of time to plan games and figure out opponents.
Well, what's interesting about like the sort of mind game plays that you'll see from MVP is that they still rely on just getting good information. I still remember this amazing game that he played against Nesty, where this is back when Nesty popularized the triple expand as Zerg and defend with Roach. Can easily hold off Hellions, can easily hold off Marines. And what did MVP do when he saw this? MVP was already early expanding. He expanded 2 more times. So he was a 4-base Terran versus a 3-base Zerg and just ran him into the ground. And now we do see MVP going for the exact same thing he did last game. The early expand before doing anything else, but ooh.
Early gas.
I think it would behoove Targa to maybe snatch up that gas geyser and possibly lock out some Banshee play.
Absolutely. I guess it'll just be some Hellion map control with 1-Rax Marines pumping and a fast command center. Kind of normal. Targa favoring that early gas again, so I'm guessing he's either going to be... I guess he could go for that Mass Zergling thing again. Mass Zergling strategy he did last game, or he could be going for a Roach. Roach timings are always good, especially on such a map so small.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a Roach timing.
I think Roaches are good against MVP.
Oh, yeah, he's very clearly already put a clear box around what MVP can be doing. There's 1 geyser. It's basically going to be Hellions, and they're going to come out a little after 6 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just the right time to start that Roach Warren, so that way, right when those 2 Hellions come out, you just meet them mid-map and go, hey, why don't you go home and try to pretend that you can defend against Roaches?
Exactly. And it looks like MVP is going to actually see this gas scout. Or he's going to get this gas scout, which is incredibly essential for a Terran. He's going to realize what the options are going to be. And he just mined 100 gas, but here comes the Roach Warren. So it looks like we're actually going to see a Roach timing.
Very excited about that. I would like to see speed here as well. I think that's a great follow-up to swing with Roaches, reinforce with speed.
Absolutely. But another way to do it is to invest all your gas in the Roaches and then start droning again. So it's kind of like a Econ Destroyer, but not a killer. So he'll drone really hard behind it, get a third, get all 4 gases, and play a normal game after a lot of damage. And I think this is a brilliant play because MVP is playing a really greedy game right now, and he's going straight into Starport. So it looks like it's going to be Hellion Banshees with a limited amount of Marines.
Oh God, this play from Targa works so nicely against this play.
It could not be a better idea, I think. I think he's really chosen the right strategy for this.
But as a follow-up, I'm seeing only 2 queens right now from Targa, or 1 queen. Wow, 1 queen?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is wow, it looks like he's actually going to go all in off this with slow Zerglings.
The slow lane all in. Well,
you know, this is actually couldn't have been a better idea. This is going to, I think this could definitely just straight up win the game. I don't see how MVP is going to defend against this. He's going to get a Banshee out eventually, but the potential
1 minute out from the Banshee right now.
Exactly. The potential damage is going to be tremendous. And he can still, Targa can still follow up from this because he's got a lot of drones.
Oh, MVP still hasn't seen the push coming.
Oh,
still has no idea. Oh, these roaches are just going to come in out of nowhere. Oh, this is going to catch MVP completely with his pants down. And there they are, just waltzing right up.
That is not good at all. And Targa's really going to have to focus down the SCVs and take this bunker down.
Oh no, this is as bad a possible situation as can be for MVP, and he pulls everything off the bunker. He's just going to let it go down, and right now it's all about keeping those SCVs alive. An excellent response from MVP. He retreats as many SCVs as he can. He's going to try to conserve those until this Banshee can pop out, but with this constant reinforcement of slow lings, I mean...
Yeah. It's really a time, kind of like a countdown to the damage.
Are you serious? He just rushes in. He instantly picks off the cloaking.
Brilliant play. Now he just needs to get to the SCV line, deal with those Hellions, so his slow link's going to have more effect. And this Banshee's going to probably save MVP, so I think Targa's really going to have a very, very sexy follow-up to this.
And there we see the slow link stepping in, amazingly catching some of the Hellions off guard, but there still are 6 Hellions out on the field. This Banshee has 6 kills. Targa has 26 drones versus 21 SCVs. This is actually quite a bad situation to be in as Targa. I mean, only just now getting that speed, and there's a couple more roaches stepping into the fray.
Yeah, see, the damage, it wasn't as damaging as I think he really hoped it to be. MVP's economy is going to be equal, if not better, and this Banshee / Hellions is just going to clean up anything else that comes. So it was really important to have like a really strong follow-up to this, because I don't think, especially if they go for like a fast Banshee like that, you can really kill.
Yeah, it's like that comment you were saying earlier on about, well, if you build 8 to 10 roaches and then instantly start droning. I mean, I don't necessarily mind the 10 slow lings, but when it was 20 and 30 and 40 slow links, you just imagine all those being drones. And then it would be...
And he could have a third base, multiple queens, and a macro hatchery, and all these things. And wow, he sees all these Hellions coming, and he just pulls all the drones from the natural. So this is looking worse and worse for Targa now. And he really needs to get those roaches in there.
Doesn't manage to save one of the queens. Does a good picking off one of the Hellions. Nice stabilizing move there by Targa. Still only 24 SCVs out for MVP. Up in the main base, looks like a total of 4 drones mining.
And yeah, this is not looking too good for Targa right now. He really needs to claim a third or go for mutas or something to really regain map control, because these Banshees are really going to keep him in his natural for a long time.
He goes for an infestation pit.
Interesting. And MVP still wants to go cloak Banshees, so he's just going for it, which I think is a brilliant idea, because Targa's already seen that he hasn't got cloak with these Banshees, so he's like, okay, I don't need to worry about that.
A mech answer coming out of MVP. Wow.
That's a brilliant idea.
What an answer.
Perfect decision making by MVP. And this is just going to send him further and further.
Wow,
out.
yeah, I mean, if you... Oh, here come the Hellions, going to try to dart up. Nope, Roach is already in position. I mean, yeah, if you've been battered down and you're stuck on 2 bases, no matter if you have a lot of SCVs or little SCVs, you can still maximize on 4 geysers quite easily as Terran.
Absolutely.
And as a result, Marine Marauder requires a lot of minerals, Mech requires a lot of gas. You're best equipped after that huge exchange to go gas. And likewise, your Zerg opponent, his best answer to having to mech is going to require a lot of minerals. But Zerg is locked on 2 bases, and therefore can't get a lot of minerals. So I really like this choice.
The only thing that Targa is really favoring Targa is the fact that he already has Roach Tech and Roach Speed upgrading, which is definitely one way to deal with mech. Though these Cloak Banshees alone are going to do tremendous amounts of damage. Probably more damage than Targa can actually bear to take. His score is out of position, and he's got a low queen count, and if MVP desired so, he could just right-click on that hatchery and probably kill it. No queens going to stop him.
One-shotting queens, and there it is, picking off all the drones. I mean, MVP, to think that he was on the verge of elimination a few minutes ago, now just annihilating everything with his Cloak Banshees.
Absolutely, this is not looking good at all.
This actually looks a lot like my 3rd game of playing Starcraft 2 ever, where I didn't know that Banshees were a unit, and they came in, I didn't have any detection, and I lost literally almost immediately.
It's a terrible feeling when you have Cloak Banshees in your base and you just went and didn't see them coming a mile away, and it's just so difficult. Really, really smart play by MVP to just decide to go to Cloak Banshees, and they've paid for themselves already.
We see the Roaches that try to do the big counterattack push, and now MVP joining all his forces together and just doing a direct shove at the front. And again, I love these nice little maneuvers that we're seeing out of MVP, just building one Viking.
Yeah.
Knows his opponent is pretty much stuck to early layer, late hatch tech. Can't deal with that anti-air at that point in time.
Absolutely. And there's still no 3rd base for Targa, so his economy is so behind right now. MVP's 3rd, just landing now, and he could not be in a better position right now.
Gosh, MVP is so ridiculously good.
It's way too good.
And if my current understanding of the results are truthful, then the loser of this series goes up against Grubby in the lower bracket, and the winner of that series will advance to the group stages as well. Grubby's been looking very, very good in PvZ as of late. Not nearly at MVP's caliber in the PvT, so MVP were to win this, Grubby would be much happier about his chances there.
And it looks like Zergling upgrade's going for Targa. So I think, does that mean that Targa still thinks it's going to be Marines involved in this kind of composition? Because he's going to be sorely mistaken when he sees nothing but Thor, Hellion, Banshee.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
And I don't think Zerglings are going to really be effective against this combination at all. Unless he's going for like some sort of beautiful Baneling on the, like a massive ball of Thors or something.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly, Banelings, for any of you who spend time on forums, you'll hear things about like LOL, Banelings versus Thors and that sort of thing, but surprisingly the fact is that you don't move out with Thors unless you have a lot of them, and as a result Banelings end up being somewhat of a reasonable response. Mutilating Baneling is quite reasonable against a mech player if everything is positioned.
It's reasonable, yeah. I think it really depends. It always depends on the position of things.
Oh gosh, the Cloaked Banshees are just dealing so much damage. 3 fungals down on a single Banshee.
Yeah, this is not fungal effective at all. And yeah, the Banshees can just stop and fight queens anyway, so not much good happening there. And it's just a matter of time until that big push happens.
And I mean, it was so impressive the way that MVP just does every little thing so, oh my god, that's a lot of Hellions. They do have that upgrade. Don't know if they have Blue Flame upgrade yet. I actually can't tell. I can
yeah,
they do have Blue
21
Flame.
damage against light.
You know, I'm so used to seeing that if they have Blue Flame when they're at level 1 upgrades, or level 0 upgrades, and now they're at level 1, just trundling forward.
And 4 Thors to follow up.
An incredible fungal manages to nab most of everything. Another
great fungal.
Unbelievable fungal. He can get 2 more of those, but no, he has no more energy. Wasted
Banshees.
too many on that previous engagement.
The Banshees are just ruling the skies now. There's nothing to stop them. And Thor's following it up, just killing the hatchery like there's nothing. SCV's repairing everything.
Auto-repaired Banshees. I mean, MVP played this off perfectly, Moonglaive.
Absolutely. Brilliant recovery and follow-up. Could not have been a better choice. And I guess this is why he's a champion 4 times in a row. Oh, not in a row, 4 times overall.
Thor's just ripping apart this front line of Roaches. The few queens, I mean, Targa's controlling as well as any Zerg could, but it's just not going to be enough.
He's got some fighting spirit. He's bringing these drones. He needs to do something.
Oh, they're lining up. He is just going to try to go for the big drone surround, but MVP, even in this extremely clearly won situation, is still controlling his units nearly perfectly has killed off 69 workers. And there's the good game, well played. That does mean that MVP is the second player to advance that we know of. Bomber was the first one. But an extremely impressive series from Targa. Again, not quite having to follow through in game number 3.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. It was a really strong play, and I'm sure he's feeling confident against Grubby. He's already taken out 2 amazing Protoss players, and I'm sure a third one might be much problem as well.
It looks like in the number 1 bracket, just updating on some other results, the person who will advance onto the group stages is going to be the winner of Real versus Yonghua. That was also a round 1 match in that series. Looking at some of the other brackets, we see that in bracket number 2, the one that we're watching right now, MVP Targa has just yielded MVP as a winner, and I believe Grubby won that series.
Yeah, he must have.
I'll have to F5 that later for a look. We've had some developments going on in the group number 3 brackets that haven't really gotten too much coverage up here on the main stage, where we have Nestea Puma, which should be a fairly exciting match. I mean, I don't know the condition Nestea's in, but Puma was looking kind of very middle of the road-ish in his series against Dark Force this morning. Did you get the chance to see those games?
I did. I actually did. And they were very close games, despite some big mistakes from both players. And yeah, I absolutely think Nestea has what it takes to take out Puma.
Quite surprised to see Saka falling down and then being eliminated by Killer. Saka, of course, one of the real German superstars, gets knocked down. And in group number 4, the only thing that we've really gotten the chance to see is that MC got a bye. So that does mean that in this group number 2 situation, we should be having Targa versus Grubby coming up fairly shortly. So, I mean, let's go ahead and talk about that Targa versus Grubby matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Targa takes down Ace, takes down Oz. I'm especially blown away at the fact that he took down Oz. That was an amazing, amazing PvZer in Oz. I mean, Oz managed to take down Stefano 4-1 at the last MLG Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Targa probably has an advantage over people like Koreans, for example, because they don't see him play, and he has such interesting styles.
Yeah.
So like European players might know him a lot more, and so this game against Grubby might have an idea of how Targa plays, so this might go in at disadvantage.
I mean, it's kind of funny to note that there's just so much that Targa did that was amazing in those games against MVP. The Zergling timing attacks did just wonderfully in a lot of circumstances, but they fell flat in others. And just a little more cleaning up, and I really think that Targa would be able to just take down the best of the best consistently.
Absolutely. He's very strong. Definitely has the potential to do it.
So as we go ahead and get set up for the upcoming match, Targa versus Grubby, please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere for all the updated results. Go to esl.tv/IEM. And when we come back, we're going to be bringing you Targa versus Grubby.